Welcome to First Take. Stephen A. Smith, Brian Windhorst, Shams Charania, Courtney Cronin with you on a Thursday. Day one of the men's NCAA tournament is here. We're going to get into the brackets, the upsets, the Final Four hopefuls in just a little bit. But we start with some breaking news, Shams, in the NBA. What more can you tell us?
Courtney, sources tell me that Detroit Pistons star Cade Cunningham has been diagnosed with a collapsed lung. He's expected to miss an extended period of time for the Pistons, and there is some optimism internally within the Pistons that he's going to be able to come back for the playoffs, but still not sure about next steps. Cade Cunningham, the Pistons medical staff, they still have to continue to evaluate him, figure out next steps, treatment plans for him. And the one thing I did find out in the last few minutes, doctors do believe it's a mild case, so they're going to continue here to figure out how soon or how much time he could miss. CJ McCollum has had a collapsed lung on 2 different occasions. He missed 3 weeks once, 6 weeks another time. So it's going to be at least a period of weeks here. But this is someone that obviously has led the Pistons to the #1 seed, the 3.5-game lead they have on the Boston Celtics right now. He's one of the highest usage rating players in the NBA. So this is a guy that's emerged as a superstar player. Now the Pistons face potentially being without him for a significant period of time here.
Well, first of all, first things first, wishing him nothing but the best in a full and healthy recovery. That's the priority right now. Obviously, anytime you hear something like that, it scares the living hell out of you. Making sure you're right. You're thinking about a collapsed lung. You're of the mindset. What happened? What kind of collision took place? What kind of impact took place that actually, caused that to happen? And then you saw some of the highlights and you see how it could have easily happened. So, thank God it's not something more serious than that. But obviously, that's unfortunate. But Lord knows it could have been worse. So we're happy about that, and we're happy that he's projected to be back. Having said all of that, getting strictly to basketball, I definitely think this compromises the Pistons. They're not a team that's perceived as having a bona fide, a viable secondary scoring option. He is the offense. Everything goes through him. Other people are going to have to step up, no doubt about that. You don't expect them to fall off a cliff, but the Boston Celtics are ascending. The Boston Celtics are coming. The New York Knicks are still in the mix. And obviously, this is something that could potentially cost them the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Is it that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things? One could argue not so fast, because if he eventually comes back, they could still do some things, even though they play a second-round series and they'd probably be the road team instead of the home team. Who knows? But it's one of those situations where, let's be very, very clear, the Detroit Pistons and all of its championship aspirations, it goes nowhere without this man. This man isn't back, ready to play, healthy enough and ready to go. The Detroit Pistons' chances of winning the championship go right out the window with him. We don't anticipate that'll happen. Thank the good Lord that he's going to be okay. And eventually, whether it's 3 to 6 weeks or sooner, he'll be back. But in the end, Detroit's success rides with this man. He is that superstar. He is that dude on their squad. And they need him if they're going to ascend to a championship level. Let's get that out the way right now.
Yeah, so as someone who's had a rib injury, it's extremely painful. You saw the play here. Trey Johnson accidentally knees him in the side. It's a freak injury. Typically with the collapsed lung, you can't even travel for a while. I remember about 15 years ago, Gerald Wallace with the Bobcats had a collapsed lung after a flagrant foul by Andrew Bynum in Los Angeles, and the way he got back to Charlotte was by bus. He took 3 days to travel across the country because you can't fly for a while. So that's one thing. The other thing you have to wonder is how serious was a rib injury here, because sometimes collapsed lungs are caused by rib damage, sometimes they're not. So there's the dynamics of that for sure. The Pistons do have a 4-game lead in the loss column on the Celtics. That's a decent cushion for 14 games left. They have had some success without him this year. I'm not as worried about them with the seeding. I would believe they could hold them off. But Stephen A., you're of course right. The truth is, this man is an MVP candidate. You are not going to survive long in a playoff series if not only he's not back, but he's not back and playing at a high level. And we're just not going to know probably right now what his situation is. But this is why, you can't take anything for granted in March and April and May in the NBA. There's always these variables. And one piece of business, this seems trivial, but I should just point it out because it does affect people care about. Cade has played 60 games. He would need to get to 65 to reach any sort of award situations. Not sure that's going to happen. So that's a
not
bummer
gonna happen.
also as well.
Yeah.
So 44-17 with him this season, Shams, 5-2 without Cade Cunningham. Do we have any clarity on how and when this might have happened?
So, it could be as innocuous as that play that we saw where he dove and he was clearly hit. So, I'm not exactly sure when it happened. It could have easily happened here, like Stephen A. said. These are moments.
He left the game after this play.
Yeah.
I would, we don't know for sure, but that was very, most likely that's the play.
With back spasms, and this is certainly something Brian said he had this. This is something that does impact a lot of the upper body. So certainly the back is a part of that. The Pistons are still doing tests on it, seeing what else is there. What they know right now, collapsed lung. Doctors believe it's a mild case, and that's what they're operating on. And so they're optimistic that he's going to be able to have treatment and a plan here in place for him to be back in the playoffs. But again, there is a lot of uncertainty still here moving forward. So wish him the best in his rehab.
Well, a lot of moving parts here. We'll make sure to be checking in with you on the latest on this. Thank you for joining us to get things off right off the bat. All right, let's move into the other part of the NBA news. Coming off last night's game.